Today we're starting to work on a 1996 Mercedes SL320, the 320, the 500. Some of the other ones pretty much look the same from this generation, to me anyways. A little hard to tell apart. However, this is a convertible with a hard top we have removed. I'm going to be reupholstering, but this is the most swirling I've seen on a Mercedes in quite some time, and all I do is correction. So I thought I would bring you along for the ride and how I take care of this, my thought process, and the way I go about doing it. I'm going to get some of the angles, the best angles using the shop lights and the ceiling lights, so you can get just an idea of the uphill battle that I have. Here's the top, not bad shape. It's original. Everything is original on this vehicle. It's going to stay original. So we want to keep the finish on here. It's never been painted, never been hit or replaced. No fillers whatsoever. The hard top, as I'm going to show you over here, doesn't need to be reupholstered. The headliner, I'm going to take care of that, along with some of the other upholstery along here, the plastic and the vinyl. But it's pretty much going to be paint correction for me this week. This is what we have to work with. The car's now been washed, decontaminated, clayed. Before we get some gloss meter readings, we want to get paint depth readings as well. That is more important. Normally, when a car comes in, the average vehicle, newer with clear coat, we're looking at 5.5 mils or higher. A vehicle like this, approaching 25 years of age, I'm going to guess there's going to be an average of about 4.5 mils. The car has never been detailed. However, just normal wear and tear and what Mother Nature has been beaming down on it for 25 years. It's just a natural degradation of the clear. Let's start right here. 4.3 mils, 4.7, pretty much right on par with what I would have guessed. 4.4, 4.5. There we're getting a little lower than what I'd like to see. The areas facing the sun are right on par with what I expected, however. Okay, so we do have room to play. We have some room to be a little bit aggressive. The customer wants these all removed. This isn't just going to be an enhancement or one step. We're going to try and get this paint as gorgeous and as beautiful looking as we can. It's going to get a ceramic coat. It's going to get 4 coats. The clear is going to be built right back up again, so I'm not really worried about it. We can get quite aggressive with this. So we're going to get some gloss meter readings next. We're going to write all this information down, keep it for at the end where we can compare notes, compare numbers at the end of the video. I have 2 pieces of tape. The first one's going to be the paint depth reading. 4.3 mils is the average all the way around the car. We're going to measure that again when I'm done correcting. We don't want that to drop down below 4. When it comes to gloss units, we're going to take care of that next. Write it right here. We're going to keep those on the windshield, as that'll be the last thing I take care of anyways. It's going to get a windshield coating as well, but we'll keep that on there through the correction process and see what kind of numbers we have when we're done on this side. Time for the gloss meter. Okay, let's get the average. We'll write it down over there. We have an average of 88.1 gloss units. We want to see that jump up 10 points at least. Going to take a little bit of work, but we're going to get there. By the way, when it comes to the paint depth readings, as we were going around the car, One thing to look out for. If we would have had an average of that 4.5 mils around the car, and it would have spiked up to 8, 9, 10, 11 mils, then you know there would have been filler somewhere within that panel, and it's been worked on, something you want to take note of and be careful of. If it had a couple panels that were dropped down, they could have been worked on or already shaved or already detailed. Something else you want to take note of on your paperwork. Guys, cover your backside, have the conversation with the owner that has been done, and those are the variations. Actually, when I take these readings here with both the paint depth and the gloss meter, I have the customer walk around with me and see those readings as we do them. And then I then label them on a sheet as well. The car's been washed, clayed, decontaminated. We have all the measurements labeled up top. It's time to get started on this. Normally in some videos, I would show you how to do test areas in some inconspicuous places to get your polisher, your pad, and also your correction cream picked out. You normally do the least aggressive method necessary, so I'm just going to mention that in this video. After all these years, I can walk up to a car like this and see this type of damage, the imperfections, the swirls, the scratches, and I already have the exact combination picked out in my mind of what I want to use to get started. All I had to do was get some measurements to reassure myself that I had enough material or enough clear coat to go with that combination. So that combination, looking at this, knowing what it's going to take, knowing the type of clear that's on this car, also knowing how much I have to work with, it's going to be the 3D ACA, the Alpha Ceramic Abrasive, to cut with a rotary and a Lake Country low-lint lamb's wool pad. Then I'm going to follow that up and finish with 3D1 using the dual action polisher, 15 millimeter, and either a white or a light blue polishing pad, foam perforated polishing pad from Buff and Shine. I will do a test area on the hood here to show you what type of turnaround that combination is going to give you before we get started. So let me mask off an area and let's get going with that. A test area has been masked off. Let me show you what's inside of it first. Then I can show you I have everything ready. We have the rotary with the Lake Country low lint pre-washed pad on there. I'm going to try the 50/50 pad instead of the white polishing pad, the perforated pad from Buff and Shine. I also have what I'm going to use to cut. I've tested so many. This is my absolute favorite to cut, the ACA from 3D. And to finish, 3D1. Don't overthink the conditioning of the pad to get started. Just something like chemical guys or even a quick detailer will work. There's so many things to overthink to begin with. Don't worry about that. Just grab something that's cheap. Let's get this going. By the way, guys, don't be afraid to experiment and combine things. In with the 4 or 5 little dots that I have of the ACA compound, I like to mix in 2 dots of the 3D1. This helps finish down a little bit better and extend working time. All right, as you can see there, the correction speed, my arm movement with the rotary is almost exactly the same as a dual action polisher, just a little bit quicker because of the speed of correction and the temperature. In just about every video you'll see me using a dual action or a rotary polisher, the movement is going to be consistent. It's going to be fluid. I don't like using the jab it or the mow down or methods. I mean, there's no wrong answer out there, but what works for me is consistency, and I'll use that every single time. Let's remove the residue and see what type of cutting we've done. Do we have to go over it one more time? I did a crisscross pattern, which is equal to 2 passes. Was it enough? Let's see. Okay, just the cutting stage. This is what we had to start with. After one crisscross pattern, which is equal to 2 passes. Very nice improvement. This is just about where I want to be. You see a little bit of hazing there, and there are some scratches that are quite a bit deeper. What I'm going to do after I'm finished with this test area, and I know what I'm going to be working with, I'll go around and spot correct them with 3000 grit or 2500 grit, depending on the imperfections, because here we have some stone chips that somebody tried to repair, and they're really high. I might knock those down a bit, a deeper scratch there. So there are things I will have to spot correct by wet sanding. However, the cutting portion will be enough. Let me finish it down for you with the 3D1, show you what that looks like. By the way, on harder clear coat like this older Mercedes, it's like concrete now. 3D1 finishes down perfectly. On softer clear, that will not cut it. You're going to have to find a finer abrasive for finishing down polish. Even the pad choice is going to be quite different. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. Clean off the lens here real quick. Okay, excuse me. All right, so we go from this nasty, swirled, scratched finish to this section right here. Total of 4 passes, 2 for cutting, 2 for finishing. And that will work. So I'm going to go around and do some spot correction with 3000 grit, get some of those deeper imperfections that are down below these here. They're hard to see because they are hidden by these love marks here, and that's all these are. These are really love marks. It wasn't run through an automatic wash. The wash media back in the day was hard sponge and terry cloth towels, and that's exactly what it will do to your finish if you continue to use those today. One thing I see, and you always want to correct yourself when you see something that can be adjusted, especially if you can bring it back to something less aggressive. I could see that I can use something a little less aggressive to finish when it comes to pad choice. I'm going to keep the 3D one. But the clear just isn't quite as hard as some of these older models here from Mercedes, especially the year in the mid-90s. So I can get away with something a little bit less aggressive to finish. I'm going to switch over to the Buff and Shine white perforated foam polish pad. So before I move on, I will attach that pad and give it a shot. That way I have everything ready to go on my cart to fly around this car once the spot wet sanding is finished. And that will do it. That's exactly what I'm looking for right there. When I go around and do the spot correction, I have a bottle of water here. I have my palm pad with 3000 grit Trizac attached to it. And this is exactly what I will be going around the car looking for. Spots like that. Spots in that area we just corrected. Stone chip marks that were filled in but are still too high and make it look just way too obvious and not very nice looking. Oh, what else can I pick out for you? Little scratches like that are a little bit too deep. Not through the clear coat like that, but very close and can be corrected to a point where you would need to be at the perfect angle with the perfect amount of light to see them once we're done. Staining, etching, just like that. That's what we're going after as well. Why 3000 grit? Guys, 3000 grit will take care of these blemishes. Make them look a little better. Some that are too deep, they'll hide. But it'll take care of those blemishes without having to use a polisher and hover over that same area, going back and forth, trying to remove those imperfections. That's going to spike the temperature. So if you have a panel here that's room temperature at 72, 73, 74 degrees, and you keep going over an area to remove some imperfections, you're going to raise that temperature 100, 125, 130 degrees. When the rest of the panel is room temperature, that is way too much stress, too much expansion and contraction of all three layers of primer, base coat, and clear coat in one area, and that's where you can have failure. So use 3000 grit, 2500, whatever you're comfortable with. Remove the blemishes without raising the temperature. You're not removing a ton of clear. You can see this milky stuff here is a little bit of clear, not a whole lot. We're just going over the area for improvement. Grab my towel here. Sorry guys for the shakiness. I'm trying to operate the camera and do this at the same time. And that's what it's going to look like. Not going to take a lot to remove this, guys. This is 3000 grit. You can remove this with a polishing pad and a fine polish. Don't have to hover over the area for, 10, 20 passes. That's all you have to do. Now that the spot correction is finished with the 3000 grit, we can pull out the masking tape. We're going to mask off areas such as trim, rubber grommets, seals, also areas like this. The pinstriping is old and faded and just about removed to begin with. We don't need to add to it. We're going to correct from top to bottom, so we'll protect. Then when we correct the bottom part, we'll protect it again up this way. By the way, if you haven't noticed, this is the no BS version. This is our day in the life of the shop here. The shop is not a front for videos. We pump some cars out of here during the week, just the two of us. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see projects that don't hit YouTube. But we're letting the years of expertise and experience guide us. We're an autopilot here. We're flying. Time is money. We want to keep overhead down. We want to keep moving and get the jobs done in a timely manner so the customers get it back, and we also can move on to the next project. So we're not dilly-dallying around. We are, like I said, an autopilot, and we're flying, and I'm sure you've noticed that by now. By the way, as we're going along here, I do want to take a couple minutes now and then to share what I use during the process. I love the precision masking tape from 3M. They have, oh my gosh, they have blue, yellow, dark green. This is the lime green, or you might want to say the wintergreen color. This is a low profile for the pad of your polisher to glide over here, just in case you do bump against some trim or whatever you're trying to tape off, like that stripe there. It will easily glide over top without lifting the tape and getting adhesive on your pad. I hope that makes sense. Let's get to masking tape. By the way, guys, there's no need to dilly-dally and overthink the area. We're not masking to paint the car. We're just masking to protect areas. So you can keep up at a nice, speedy pace doing that as well. I now have everything taped off that I want protected, and then I also don't want any type of residue or dust to go down in between the cracks and the crevices. I have this pinstripe taped off all the way back through. We're working from top to bottom, and even though this isn't convertible, I have the hard top over there. I'll flip that over, take care of it later. So the highest point is going to be the hood here, and the trunk. We'll take care of that, then we'll tape accordingly so we can work from that pinstripe down. We want to keep moving because, as you can see, in the other bay, I have another project going that I have to finish down and protect. And that's, we got to keep the frenetic pace going. You have to get these cars in and out. This one here is going to a show. That one is going to be protected and stored. And you have more coming in. Like I said, there's plenty of projects that do not make YouTube. So if you want to follow on Facebook and Instagram, really cool mural on this one here. That one's going to get protected. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. We'll make this into maybe a 2 or a 3 video series, show you how I go about something like that, the type of paste that we use, that we're in when we go around and correct it, and then the finished result. So I'll catch you guys in the next installment. Thanks for stopping by and watching.